Everybody, Christy here with Soulful Aligned Human Design. And I had an experience yesterday where I did not pay attention to my emotional authority and I just responded in the moment, which for everybody who is sacrally defined and that is your emotion, that is your authority, then responding in the moment is great for you guys. That can happen, no problem. You're confident moving forward, whatever that choice is. If you're an emotionally defined person in human design, then you're fine doing spontaneous things. There's no reason why you can't be spontaneous, but there are some things that you really need to pause and take a breath and not emotionally respond. Instead, sit with your emotions. I have gate 15, which is the gate of extremes. It's also the gate of consideration. And I find that when it's also one of my moon drivers. So when I am not feeling like things are being considered, I'm not being considered, my family's not being considered, I tend to emotionally extremely react. So I just realized an instance happened yesterday and it made it more difficult and more stressful than it needed to be. And so I thought I'd share. So I was coming out of a meeting and I got a text from one of my daughter's school friends that her mom saying, "Hey, thank you for inviting, this little girl over for tomorrow after school." And, they were evidently hashing it out at school and planning it at school. And that, I'll just pick her up. You guys can take her to gym with my daughter and we'll just pick her up after gym. Is that okay with you? And I was like, whoa, time out. What? I hadn't even seen my daughter. And this lady who I did not invite over, I had not talked to my daughter about inviting her over, which is a consideration thing that is a little bit of a issue with me. It's one of my pet peeves, the lack of consideration. So, and just plain social graces, just bothered me. And so when I responded, I was like, well, don't be mean. It's okay. We'll roll with it. Her and Rin probably planned it out and Rin just hadn't told me yet and hadn't asked yet. And so again, one of those little consideration points. And so I responded immediately, which I shouldn't have done. My emotional response being so extreme should have been like, oh my gosh, how dare she? What the hell? What is going on? I'm so confused. That should have been a sign for me to pause, to check in with my daughter, check in with myself, to really sit with this before I responded. Okay. So my immediate response in hindsight would have been better serving if I had said something like, hey, let me talk to Rin. I'll get back with you and let you know, and we'll plan that play date. Okay. That would have been at the even part of my wave, that clarity, emotional clarity part of a wave. That would have been my response. Instead, it was like, well, I guess so. Sure. I mean, I'm pissed about it, but I'm going to, if Rin's already invited your daughter, then, who am I to say, no, she can't come, because there's really no reason. I mean, we don't have anything going on after school to say that, besides the fact that, anyway, this is not planned and wasn't on my radar. And for Rin to plan something without asking me is odd. But this mom is very intense and very pushy. And she's not high. I'm not a big fan. So her daughter's fine, but I'm just not a big fan of hers. So I was like, well, I guess so. It's really not harming anything. I guess that's fine. And then when I got home, I responded to Corinne and I was like, what the hell? And she was like, honestly, Mom, I don't even know where she got that from. I was talking to several people about playing after school. I didn't invite her directly. I don't know what happened. I am so sorry, da 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 da. And so that just brought me out of the emotional wave. Once I voiced it and talked about it, it brought me out of the wave of, oh, so I really should have paused before I responded, right, to this outside trigger. before I said anything, I should have checked in and ridden this a wave. So we can be spontaneous. If you're emotionally defined, you can be spontaneous. However, pausing to wait will serve you better if it's something that's not already on your radar. Like if I was expecting something, she had mentioned, I've already talked to my daughter and she had mentioned, hey, I was talking about having this friend over. What do you think? That kind of thing. And then the mom reached out and said, hey, the girls have been hashing a plan. That would not have caught me off guard like this did. And also, when you have a kid that's supposed to be going to somebody else's house, you don't call and say, hey, thanks for the invite. You can pick them up after school. That assumption is rather incredible and incredibly inconsiderate. You need to wait for the invitation. No one said anything to you yet. Anyway, so just a little bit of a soapbox. Let me know if you can totally relate or totally not relate. Again, emotionally defined, we need to pause, and this is what it means. So let me know what you think. Take care.